You know what's frustrating, and I hear this all the time, is that maybe you used to be the kind of person who would just decide to do something and then do it. Like you'd say, I'm going to eat better, or I'm going to work out 3 times a week, and then boom, you just follow through, you do it. But maybe lately, you start doing something with a lot of excitement. Maybe the novelty of something really sets in and you're totally into it for maybe a few days or a week, and then nothing. It's like your brain just goes, nah, we're good with that. We don't need to do that anymore. And maybe you've noticed this is getting worse. That drive you used to have, it's just not there anymore. At least not like it used to be. Now, if you are a woman over the age of 40 and this sounds remotely familiar to you, I've got news for you. It's highly unlikely that this is entirely a willpower problem. It's more likely that it's a hormone problem. My name is Traci D. Mitchell. I am a board-certified Mayo Clinic health and wellness coach with a master's degree in health and nutrition education. I'm the author of the book, The Belly Burn Plan, and for the last 20 years, I have been working with women just like you, helping you to improve your health and hormones. And I've seen this exact pattern so many times. So today I want to share some research with you that's going to completely flip how you think about motivation and goal setting, especially if you're going through perimenopause or menopause right now. So this motivation struggle that we're talking about, well, it shows up everywhere. Take New Year's resolutions, for example. The research on this stuff is really quite depressing. Only 9% of people actually keep their New Year's resolutions. 23% quit by the end of the first week, and a whopping 43% throw in the towel by the end of January. And I thought this was really interesting. The fitness app Strava tracked over 800 million activities back in 2019 and found that most people gave up their resolutions by January 19th. They literally call it Quitter's Day. I mean, they actually gave it a name. But here's what's really fascinating. If you're in perimenopause or menopause, your struggles with motivation aren't just part of these general statistics. There's something much deeper that's going on biologically, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. The reason has everything to do with what's happening inside of your brain. And I promise you, it's probably not what you're thinking. Okay, so are you ready for this? Your motivation isn't controlled by willpower, it's controlled by something called dopamine. Researchers at Yale University found that when estrogen levels drop naturally through perimenopause and menopause, more than 30% of dopamine neurons just disappear, like they're gone. So think about that for just a second. 30% of these receptors, these brain receptor sites for dopamine that are responsible for your drive, your motivation, your ability to feel good when you accomplish something, they disappear when estrogen levels start to drop. And here's the thing. Estrogen doesn't just boost how much dopamine you have in your brain, it also slows down the breakdown process. So dopamine hangs around longer, keeping you feeling motivated and goal-oriented for longer periods of time. So the key here is really in dopamine. So when estrogen levels start to do this crazy fluctuating thing during perimenopause and then continue declining, this whole motivation system gets completely messed up. I had a client recently tell me, and she phrased it so well. She said that she used to be able to just set a goal and power through it. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. But now she gets excited about something, and then within days or maybe a week, she can't even remember why she really cared about it that much. And she thought that something was really wrong with her. But in fact, her brain chemistry had just started changing. And this is where it gets really interesting from a science perspective. So there are studies that show menopause-related estrogen deficiency doesn't just make you want to exercise less. It actually creates something researchers call attenuated dopamine activity, which is basically fancy science speak for your dopamine system is really struggling. When estrogen levels decline, it increases the breakdown of dopamine, and it also decreases how well your dopamine system functions. And that impacts things like your working memory, your focus, and your ability to achieve goals. So if you're in perimenopause or in menopause right now, this really does explain a lot, right? I mean, why you start projects with a lot of enthusiasm, but you can't follow through, or why rewards that used to motivate you, like when you used to see the number on the scale move, or when you'd get a compliment for looking nice, they just don't feel as satisfying anymore. Why you feel mentally foggy when you're trying to plan or organize anything, and why simple tasks that used to be no big deal now feel pretty overwhelming. It's not that you've gotten lazy or lost your edge. Your brain chemistry has literally changed. But here's the part that really explains what you're experiencing day to day. During perimenopause especially, estrogen levels don't just decline, they go absolutely crazy. They go up, they go down, they get all over the place. It's like ultimate hormonal roller coaster, and it creates what I call the perfect storm for motivation issues. Because higher estrogen levels mean more dopamine, lower estrogen levels mean less dopamine. So the wild fluctuations in estrogen during perimenopause create this dramatic swing in your ability to focus and stay motivated. Sometimes you're really motivated and you feel like you can conquer the world. You're organizing your life, you're meal prepping, you've got your workout schedule planned, and then the next week, getting out of bed might feel like a victory. And you're like, what is wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. This isn't inconsistency on your part. It's not deliberate on your part. It's your hormones creating this roller coaster of motivation that makes traditional goal setting feel basically impossible. Traditional goal setting advice is like, let's set bigger goals and find your why. But when your brain's reward system is compromised, that's like trying to start a car with a dead battery. You can have all of the motivation in the world, but if that actual neurological machinery isn't working properly, you're kind of stuck. Now, I want to be super clear here. Nutrition is one powerful piece of the puzzle, but it's definitely not the only piece. The good news is that we can actually support your brain's dopamine production through some strategic food choices, and that can make a really big difference. So foods that can actually enhance dopamine production can support motivation and that feeling of pleasure you get when you accomplish something during perimenopause that keeps you wanting to come back for more and more. Now, I tend to lean very plant-based on this advice. So for those of you who want more of those plant-based dopamine boosters, some of the best options out there are almonds and walnuts because they're rich in something called tyrosine, which is basically a building block for dopamine. Pumpkin seeds are high in iron, which your body needs to make dopamine as well, and dark leafy greens have folate that helps dopamine synthesis. Even something as simple as how you start your day can really help you, like having almond butter on whole grain toast with a sliced banana, or a smoothie with leafy greens, nuts, and berries. You really tick all the boxes there. But here's the thing, when motivation is unreliable, we've got to completely flip how we think about these habits. I call them micro habits, and these habits are so small, they're very tiny, they require almost no motivation to complete. We're talking embarrassingly small here. So instead of saying something like, I'm going to exercise for 30 minutes today, you're going to start with, I'm going to put on my workout clothes. That's it. Don't even think about the workout yet. Take that pressure off of you. Instead of saying something like, I'm going to eat healthy all day, you'll begin with, I'm going to eat one handful of berries. Instead of saying something like, I'm going to meditate for 20 minutes, you're going to say, I'm going to take 3 deep breaths today. Or how about this? Instead of saying, I'm going to drink more water, you put 1 water bottle out on the kitchen counter. Instead of saying, I'm going to read more, you open up your book and you read 1 paragraph. Instead of saying, I'm going to organize my whole closet, you put back 1 item where it belongs. And here's what's beautiful about this is that your perimenopause brain doesn't freak out. It's like, oh, 1 handful of berries, I can do that. There's no resistance because it's so small, it seems silly not to do it. And the science behind this is actually really cool too. These tiny, tiny actions that seem almost not worth it trigger dopamine release when you complete them. It's like giving your brain a little victory party every time. So you're gradually rebuilding your brain's reward pathways without overwhelming your already compromised motivation system. So these small things are actually very much worth doing. Plus, here's the sneaky part. Once you put on those workout clothes, you're probably going to at least do some stretching. Once you eat the handful of berries, you might reach for an apple. Once you take those 3 deep breaths, you might sit there for another minute. The action creates its own momentum. So remember that. I had one client who started simply by putting her yoga mat on the floor every morning. That's all she did. She put her yoga mat on the floor. Within 2 weeks though, she was doing 20-minute yoga sessions because she was already there and the mat was already out. But we started with just placing the mat on the floor. And when it comes to movement specifically, we want to choose activities that actually support your struggling hormonal system rather than stress it out even more. So we're talking about 10 to 15-minute walks after meals, which is amazing for blood sugar stability, by the way. Gentle strength training a couple of times a week to support your bone density and your muscle mass, and yoga, stretching, or even dancing around your kitchen while you're cooking dinner, these all naturally boost dopamine without spiking cortisol. Now, what I typically tell my clients to avoid, and this is really important, is simply doing cardio exercises for the sake of trying to torch calories or whatever. Don't do this. Exercise for a different purpose, strengthening your heart, strengthening your muscles, your lungs, or just to relax. Don't think about calories. My very strong opinion is that exercise is a lousy weight loss tool anyway, because when your hormones are already all over the place, these intense workouts can spike cortisol and actually make your hormonal balance far worse, which then makes your motivation issues worse too. It's like a vicious cycle. Your body is already dealing with so much hormonal chaos. The last thing you need is beating it up with brutal workouts. So gentle consistency beats aggressive inconsistency every time, especially during perimenopause and menopause, including postmenopause. If you're struggling with your motivation, it is not a character flaw. It's not because you're weak or you've lost your edge. It's a totally predictable response to major hormonal changes happening in your body right now. And understanding this can be incredibly liberating. In all of the years that it took for me to develop my book, The Belly Burn Plan, and specializing in hormonal health for over 2 decades with amazing women like you, I've learned that the goal isn't to somehow force yourself to feel like you're 25 again. It's about creating sustainable systems that actually work with your changing body and your changing brain. You can absolutely achieve meaningful goals without burning yourself out trying to fight your hormones. So if you're sitting there right now wondering, okay, well, where are my hormones in all of this? I mean, how much are they actually affecting my motivation, my sleep, my energy levels? Well, I've created a simple and free 3-minute hormone assessment that can give you some insights into what might be going on inside of your body right now. You can grab the link in the description below. So here's what I want you to remember. Every single day moving forward, give yourself permission to succeed differently. Your hormones might have changed the rules of the game, but they haven't changed your ability to create a fulfilling, goal-oriented life. You are not broken, you are human, and you're navigating a pretty significant biological transition with way more grace than you probably give yourself credit for. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.